The tireless and insatiable traveler, who knew the aim of life in this world and the essence of life to be faith, addressed his own heart and said, "Let us examine the book known as the Qur'an of miraculous exposition, which is said to be the word and utterance of the being whom we are seeking, the most famous, the most brilliant and wisest book in the world, that issues a challenge in every age to whoever refuses to submit to it. Let us see what it says. But first, we must establish that this book is from our Creator," and he began to search. Since the traveler lived in the present age, he looked first at the Risale-i Nur, flashes from the miraculousness of the Qur'an. He saw its 130 parts to consist of luminous points drawn from that book of discernment, or well-founded explanations of its contents. Even though the Risale-i Nur is valiantly struggling to diffuse the truths of the Qur'an in all directions, in this obstinate and atheistic age, no one shall defeat it, which proves that its master, its source, its authority and its son, is the Qur'an, heavenly not human speech. Among the hundreds of proofs in the different parts of the Risale-i Nur, the single proof contained in the 25th word and the end of the 19th letter, establishes 40 aspects of the Qur'an's miraculousness in such a way that whoever sees it, far from uttering any criticism or objection, admires its arguments, and utters appreciative praise. The traveler left it to the Risale-i Nur to prove that the Qur'an is miraculous and the true word of God, turning only to a brief indication of a few points showing its greatness. First point. Just as the Qur'an, with all its miracles and truths indicating its veracity is a miracle of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, so too, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, with all his miracles, proofs of prophethood and perfections of knowledge, is a miracle of the Qur'an and a decisive proof of the Qur'an's being the Word of God. Second point. The Qur'an, in this world, brought about in so luminous, felicitous and truthful a fashion, a revolution in the social life of man, as well as in the souls, hearts, spirits, and intellects of men, in their individual, social, and political lives, and having caused this revolution perpetuated it in such a fashion, that for 14 centuries at every moment its 6,666 verses have been read by the tongues of more than 100 million men, training them, refining their souls and purifying their hearts. To spirits, it has been a means of development and advancement. To intellects, an orientation and light. To life, it has been life itself and felicity. Such a book is of a certainty unparalleled. It is a wonder, a marvel, and a miracle. Third point. The Qur'an, from that age down to the present, has demonstrated such eloquence that it caused the value attached to the odes known as 7 hanging poems, that were written in gold on the walls of the Kaaba to descend to such a point that the daughter of Labid, when taking down her father's poem from the Kaaba, said, "Compared with the verses of the Qur'an, this no longer has any value." A Bedouin poet heard this verse being recited, "Therefore expound openly what you are commanded." Qur'an 15-94, and immediately prostrated. They asked him, "Have you become a Muslim?" "No," he replied, "I was prostrating before the eloquence of this verse." Thousands of scholars and littérateurs, like geniuses of the science of rhetoric such as Abd al-Qahir Jurjani, Sakaki, and Zamakhshari, have unanimously decided that the eloquence of the Qur'an is beyond human capacity and is unattainable. The Qur'an has also from that time forward invited to the field of combat all arrogant and egoistic littérateurs and rhetoricians, and said to them in a manner calculated to break their arrogance, "Come, produce a single surah like it. Or else accept perdition and humiliation in this world and the hereafter." Despite this challenge, the obstinate rhetoricians of that age abandoned the short path of producing a single surah like the Qur'an, and instead chose the long path of casting their persons and property into danger. This proves that the short path cannot be taken. Millions of Arabic books are in circulation, some written by friends of the Qur'an in order to resemble and imitate it, others written by its enemies in order to confront and criticize it. Not one of them has been able to attain the level of the Qur'an. Should a common man even listen to them, he is sure to say, "The Qur'an does not resemble these other books, nor is it in the same class as they. It must be either below them or above them. No one, No unbeliever or fool in the world can say that it is below them. Hence its degree of eloquence is above all of them. Once a man read the verse, "All that is in the heavens and the earth extols and glorifies God." Qur'an 57:1. He said, "I cannot see any miraculous eloquence in this verse." He was told, "Go back to that age like the traveler, and listen to the verse as recited there." Imagining himself to be there before the revelation of the Qur'an, he saw that all the beings in the world were living in an unstable, transient world in empty, infinite and unbounded space, in confusion and darkness, lifeless and without consciousness and purpose. Suddenly he heard this verse proclaimed by the tongue of the Qur'an, and the verse removed a veil from in front of the universe and illumined the face of the globe. This pre-eternal speech, this eternal decree, gave instruction to all conscious beings, drawn up in the ranks of succeeding centuries, in such fashion that the cosmos became like a vast mosque. All of creation, headed by the heavens and the earth, was engaged in vital remembrance of God and proclamation of His glory, was joyously and contentedly fulfilling its function. All of this our traveler observed. Thus tasting the degree of the eloquence of the Qur'an, and comparing the other verses to it by analogy, he understood one of the many thousands of wise reasons for the conquest of half the globe and a fifth of humanity by the eloquent murmuring of the Qur'an. For the uninterrupted continuance of its respected and magnificent monarchy for 14 centuries. Fourth point. The Qur'an has demonstrated such a voracious sweetness that whereas the repetition of even the sweetest thing induces disgust, it has from earliest times been accepted by everyone and even become proverbial that repeated recitation of the Qur'an, far from inducing disgust and weariness in men of sound heart and pure taste, on the contrary increases its sweetness. The Qur'an demonstrates, moreover, such a freshness, youth and originality, that even though it has lived for 14 centuries and passed through many hands, it retains its freshness as if it had only just been revealed. Every century sees the Qur'an enjoying a new youth, as if it were addressing that century in particular. Similarly, scholars of every branch of learning, even though they keep the Qur'an constantly at their side in order to benefit from it, and perpetually follow its method of exposition, see that the Qur'an maintains the originality of its style and manner of explanation. Fifth point. One wing of the Qur'an is in the past, and one is in the future, and like its root in one wing are the agreed truths of the former prophets, and it confirms and corroborates them, and they too confirm it with the tongue of unanimity. So too all the true Sufi paths and ways of sainthood, whose fruits, like the saints and purified scholars, who receive life from the Qur'an, show through their vital spiritual progress that their blessed tree is living, effulgent, and the means to truth, and who grow and live under the protection of its second wing, testify that the Qur'an is pure truth and the assembly of truths, and in its comprehensiveness, a matchless wonder. Sixth point. The Qur'an's truthfulness and veracity show that its 6 aspects are luminous. Indeed, the pillars of argument and proof beneath it, the flashes of the stamp of miraculousness above it, the gifts of happiness in this world and the next before it, its goal, the truths of heavenly revelation, the point of support behind it, the assent and evidence of anumera not ble upright minds to its right, and the true tranquility, sincere attraction, and submission of sound hearts and clean consciences on its left, all prove that the Qur'an is a wondrous, firm, unassailable citadel of both the heavens and the earth. So too from these 6 levels, the disposer of the universe has set his seal on its being sheer truth and right, and not being man's word, and its containing no error. The disposer, who has made it his practice to always exhibit beauty in the universe, protect good and right, and eliminate impostors and liars, has confirmed and set his seal on the Qur'an by giving it the most acceptable, highest, and most dominant place of respect and degree of success in the world. And so too the one who is the source of Islam and interpreter of the Qur'an, his believing in it and holding it in greater respect than everyone else, and being in a sleep-like state when it was revealed, and other words and speeches not resembling or coming near it, and that interpreters describing without hesitation and with complete confidence through the Qur'an true cosmic events of generally the past and the future from behind the veil of the unseen, and no trickery or fault being observed in him while being under the gazes of the sharpest eyes, and his believing and affirming every pronouncement of the Qur'an with all his strength and nothing shak not ing him, is a stamp confirming that the Qur'an is revealed and true and the blessed word of his own compassionate Creator. Also a fifth of mankind, indeed the greater part of it, being drawn to the Qur'an and bound to it in religion and giving ear to it eagerly desirous of the truth, and according to the testimony of many indications and events and illuminations, the jinn, angels, and spirit beings also gathering around in truth-worshipping fashion like moths whenever it is recited as a stamp confirming the Qur'an's acceptance by all beings and that it occupies a most high position. Also, all the classes of mankind from the most stupid and lowly to the cleverest and most learned taking their full share of the Qur'an's instruction and their understanding its most profound truths, and all branches of scholars like the great interpreters of the greater Sharia in particular, and hundreds of Islamic sciences and branches of knowledge, and the brilliant and exacting scholars of theology and the principles of religion extracting from the Qur'an all the needs and answers for their own sciences as a stamp confirming that the Qur'an is a source of truth and mine of reality. Also, although the Arab literary figures, who were the most advanced in regard to literature, those of them who were not Muslims, had the greatest need to dispute the Qur'an, their avoiding producing the like of only a single surah and its eloquence being only one aspect of the 7 major aspects of the Qur'an's miraculousness, as well as the famous orators and brilliant scholars up to the present who have wanted to gain fame through disputing it being unable to oppose a single aspect of its miraculousness and their remaining silent in impotence, is a stamp confirm not ing that the Qur'an is a miracle and beyond the powers of man. Yes, the value, superiority, and eloquence of a speech or word is apparent through knowing, from whom it has come and to whom, and for what purpose, the Qur'an then can have no like, and none can reach it. For the Qur'an is a speech and address of the sustainer of all the worlds and creator of the whole universe and a dialogue in no way hinting of imitation and artificiality. It is addressed to the one sent in the name of all men, indeed of all beings, the most famous and renowned of mankind, the strength and breadth of whose belief gave rise to mighty Islam and raised its owner to the level of the distance of 2 bow strings, and returned him as the addressee of the eternally besought One. It describes and explains the matters concerning happiness in this world and the next, the results of the creation of the universe, and the dominical purposes within it. It expounds also the belief of the one it addresses, which was the highest and most extensive a belief and bore all the truths of Islam. It turns and shows every side of the huge universe like a map, a clock, or a house, and teaches and describes it in the manner of the craftsmen who made them. To produce the like of this Qur'an of miraculous exposition is not possible, the degree of its miraculousness cannot be attained to. Also, thousands of precise and learned scholars of high intelligence have each written commentaries expounding the Qur'an, some of which are of 30, 40, or even 70 volumes, showing and proving through evidence and argument the innumerable qualities, fine points, characteristics, mysteries, elevated meanings, and numerous indications concerning every sort of hidden and unseen matter in the Qur'an. And the 130 parts of the Risale-i Nur in particular, each of which proves with decisive arguments one quality, one fine point of the Qur'an. Each part of it, like the miraculousness of the Qur'an, and the second station of the 20th word, which deduces many things from the Qur'an concerning the wonders of civilization like the railway and the aeroplane, and the first ray, called signs of the Qur'an, which makes known the indications of verses alluding to the Risale-i Nur and electricity, and the 8 short treatises called the 8 symbols, which show how well ordered, full of meaning, and mysterious are the words of the Qur'an, and the small treatise proving in 5 aspects the miraculousness of the verses at the end of Surah Al-Fath in regard to their giving news of the unseen. Each part of the Risale-i Nur shows one truth, one light of the Qur'an. All this forms a stamp confirming that the Qur'an has no like, is a miracle and a marvel, and that it is the tongue of the world of the unseen in the manifest world and the word of one all-knowing of the unseen. Thus, due to these qualities and characteristics of the Qur'an indicated above in 6 points, 6 aspects, and 6 levels, its sublime, luminous sovereignty and sacred, mighty rule has continued with perfect splendor illuminating the faces of the centuries and the face of the earth for 1,300 years. And also on account of these qualities of the Qur'an, each of its letters has gained the sacred distinction of yielding at least 10 rewards, 10 merits, and 10 eternal fruits, and the letters of certain verses and surahs yielding 100 or 1,000 fruits, or even more, and at blessed times the light, reward, and value of each letter rising from 10 to hundreds. The traveler through the world understood this and said to his heart, "The Qur'an, which is thus miraculous in every respect, through the consensus of its surahs, the agreement of its verses, the accord of its lights and mysteries, and the concurrence of its fruits and works, so testifies with its evidences in the form of proofs to the existence, unity, attributes, and names of a single necessarily existent one, that it is from its testimony that the endless testimony of all the believers has issued forth." Thus, in brief allusion to the instruction in belief and divine unity that the traveller received from the Qur'an, it was said in the 17th degree of the first station, "There is no God but God, the one and unique necessary existent, to whose necessary existence in unity points the Qur'an of miraculous exposition, the book accepted and desired by all species of angel, men and jinn, whose verses are read each minute of the year, with the utmost reverence, by hundreds of millions of men, whose sacred sovereignty over the regions of the earth and the universe and the face of time is permanent, whose spiritual and luminous authority has run over half the earth and a fifth of humanity, for more than 14 centuries, with the utmost splendor." Testimony and proof is also given by Lhe unanimity of its sacred and heavenly surahs, the agreement of its luminous, divine verses, the congruence of its mysteries and lights, the correspondence of its fruits and effects, by witnessing and clear vision.